All right, and we are live. We're live. Welcome back to Corner Class Tampa 10. So today we're talking about mailbox money. How much money do you need passive income to fund your retirement? Mailbox money is the topic of today. So it's a little bit different. Mailbox money and passive income is a little bit different than the active stuff that we've been talking about, the fixing and the flipping. We've discussed that in the past. This is buy and hold, specifically looking at retirement, looking at your retirement income and retirement needs. And it varies. It really varies between, if you are a low maintenance person, you don't travel, and you just need kind of an added subsidy per month that rental income can be used for, or you're a world traveler. You like taking cruises, you like going to exotic vacation trips and resorts and different parts of the world. Your needs for retirement income is going to be very different than the other person. So we're going to talk about both. We have some expert contributors that are online to talk about all the things that are needed to get that retirement income going. We'll see you soon. And we're back. And so as always, we're going to start off with our expert contributor, Gilbert. Gilbert, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Dave. Glad to be back on the cell phone today. Actually headed out in a few minutes to my Rotary meeting. But who I am is Gilbert Bennett with My Easy Mortgage here in Tampa. What we do is we fund dreams. I tell people I fund dreams. And what is that dream? It might be the dream of home ownership. It might be the dream of investment, property ownership, and rental income generation ownership. But I also provide the advice necessary to help you reach your goals when it comes to property ownership and real estate.
Right. So Gilbert, I know that you have to leave shortly, but tell me a little bit give us a COVID update as it respects to financing.
Well, we are seeing markets opening back up. We're seeing bank statement loans available with as little as 15% down for self-employed borrowers. We're seeing more better rates coming out on some of the investment properties. I actually had a lender not long ago offer a 4.75 rate with a debt service coverage loan at I think it was 30% down or 35% down. And that's an excellent rate when all they're doing is verifying what the projected rental income is from the property and verifying your assets. So there's no income documentation required from you, other kind of things like that. So we're seeing lending opening up on both the primary residence and the investment ends of things.
What was that rate again?
A 4.75 rate on that, and probably something like a 5.1251 or something like that APR when you factor in the underwriting cost, the points paid, and title fees associated with the loan. So really an excellent rate for a long-term 30-year loan, and things like that. I mean, honestly, that's as good as it was before COVID. The down payment requirements are a little bit higher, but that's as good as it was before COVID. And I mean, you can be very profitable at those rates. So we're seeing a lot of opening up. We're seeing more lower down payment requirements for the fix and flip homes. We're seeing lower down payment requirements for the long-term investment properties. So we're seeing a lot of opening in the market right now.
And now you said we're approaching pre-COVID numbers.
In terms with some of the non-QM, or what we call QM would be a regular qualified mortgage, but with some of our alternate qualifying methods, QM is an alternate qualifying methodology, whether it be bank statement, whether it be debt service coverage, or it be asset depletion. All those loans, we're seeing a lot more opening up in terms of loan values, and we're seeing a lot more opening up in terms of better rates being made available through the secondary markets.
All right, let me get Rick in here. Rick is the hard money guy. Rick, welcome to the show again.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Rick, what have you seen in the market with respect to rates, pre-COVID level and then COVID level?
Similar to basically what Gilbert was saying. We actually, when we were at full peak of COVID, we were still doing DSCR, but like the rates definitely jumped up to like the 8s and 9s since it's kind of steadied out.
So Rick, we have a lot of new people on the.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the debt service coverage ratio. I'm sorry. So yeah, that was the loan we mainly do, and the rates were basically like in the 8% or higher. And since then, the rates have dropped down. I think he mentioned a rate that's actually pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually get to that point. Our lowest right now is at 5% for the long-term 30-year product right now.
So, Rick, on our last class, we had specifically comments about funding exactly that, the long-term, we're looking at buy and holding, so funding the long-term rentals. The question was, do we what are the options, I guess is the best way of saying it, for a person that will, do like a flip and then decide to refinance with the traditional financing?
So they have different options with the long-term loan. If it's something they want to keep for sure for long-term, we have a 30-year fixed rate we can do, but we also have an ARM loan, different types actually. So which we have a 3-1 ARM, a 5-1 ARM, a 7-1 ARM, and a 10-1 ARM. And basically it's just you want to lock yourself into the best rate. If you think you're probably maybe might want to sell it down the road, maybe it's best to get an ARM loan. If you're pretty sure, like, no, this is going to be my rental to go, for the long run, then, fixed rate is probably going to be best for you. But with, each ARM loan, you get a better rate. And then the longer you go, if you get a fixed rate, it'll be a little higher, but it's not that much higher. It really depends on what your exit strategy is and what your long-term goal is on the actual property. But there is options available if it's something that you think you can just rent out for maybe like a few years and then reconsider what you want to do, at that point.
Right. So I just want to make sure I dig a little bit deeper. You're saying that you have a product that, let's say you decide you do a ARM, and then can you go from okay, so explain what an ARM loan is, and then can you go from that to a traditional 30-year or something else at the end of the loan?
Yes. So an ARM loan is adjustable rate mortgage. And basically what you're doing is you're locking in that rate for that period of time, whatever length of time you're choosing on that ARM. So let's just say you're doing a 5-1 ARM. You're basically locking yourself into that rate for 5 years. And then after that, the rate usually goes up. It kind of matches what the LIBOR rate is of the market at that time. But generally speaking, it generally goes up. So usually you're going to want to have it to either you could refinance with maybe like either a local lender or another lender and try to see if you can get a better rate at that time if you actually do decide you want to keep it, or you could also then just flat out sell the property before then. But there are options for that. If the rates obviously go lower, then you can lock yourself in for a 30-year. So you're not like constricted for that, and it's not like it's going to skyrocket. It's just usually going to be a little higher than what you're locked in for those first 5 years. But again, that's why you want to have somewhat of an idea of what you think your exit's going to be. But then you can always come back to me, and I can always let you know what rates are at that time. And we can see, if a 30-year fixed, what that looks like, and see if that's a better alternative.
And do you have any penalties for switching from one loan vehicle to another or paying off the loan earlier?
So for us, our prepayment penalty is a descending 3% over 3 years. So if you basically prepay it in year one, it'll be a 3% penalty. In year two, 2%, and then year three, 1%. After that, there's no more prepayment penalty. But our ARM loans start at 3.1. So technically, if you're going to do that, you're going in with the intention of at least keeping that loan for 3 years.
Okay. So I'm going to bring Rodney in. Rodney, you are our man on the field. Could you discuss with us the property that you have currently, and let's see what type of cash flow, if any, that we have on that property. Rodney, can you hear us?
Hello? Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Come on. Okay. Hey,
Go
David.
ahead. You're
I'm
good.
not sure if you guys could hear me. It kind of went blank. So, yeah, I'm on. I'm the man in the field, as always. I'm here to show you guys in real life how to construct a deal and go in retirement, something for your retirement. I'm at a multifamily. It's a two-bedroom, one bath here. Upstairs is I believe it's a 1-1 up there, and also is a bonus room. Is a mother-in-law suite that can be rented out as well for extra income. So here, these places have already been rented out. This place that I have here right now, downstairs, has been rented out for $1,200 a month. The one upstairs has been rented out for $1,200 a month as well. The mother-in-law suite is $800 a month right now. So this property is going for $250,000 right now in the market. You have renters here already. So if we go with the price of $250,000.
So Rodney, just real quick.
You're at a 2.8% mortgage rate. Your payments is going to be $821. So we add in for expenses. Here in this particular property, you're going to have to pay water. The landlord responsible for water and electricity. So we calculated that in to be around $1,100 total expenses of month. That's including the mortgage payment and the utilities at this place, water and electricity. So that's $1,100 a month. Your net income for this place is $2,137. So monthly. So that's an extra $2,137 in your pocket for this property alone. Now, if you get a couple of properties like this monthly, you can, let's say you get 3 properties, that's $6,000 a month, which is awesome. You sit back and you let the money flow in. I'm not going to walk around too much because of the lag. This property, it doesn't need too much work, just a little cosmetic. Other than that, it's good to go. Like I said, it's already rented. The people come in, they're going to be here Friday, this unit. So upstairs is rented already. So you are coming into a property that's fully, it has no vacancies. Like this place is ready to go. I searched the market. The reason I picked this place, I searched the market. This zip code has gone up 15% over a 1 year period. So, which is awesome. So that's great news for you in the long run. Like this is a buy and hold. So, in 30 years, you're gonna make, this property is gonna be worth a lot of money. I did some of the numbers, and this is an estimate. Let's say in 10 years, in 10 years, this place will be, now you paid 250,000. So that's some nice equity that you'll get in over 10 years. So you'll be able to refinance that, buy some more property, similar to this one, and let the money roll in. Like, I'm here to help find deals like this one. Any questions? Feel free.
Okay, so Rodney, let's unpack a little bit because you gave a lot of information. Can you hear me? Rodney, can you hear? Rodney, can you hear us? All right, so Rodney's having a little bit of problems with his connection. But let's
I can't hear. Let me see.
Let's go back to Rick.
But I can't hear.
Let's go back to Rick.
Yep. Hello.
While Rodney is checking on his connection, let's go back to Rick. Rick, now you've heard Rodney report. So he said that the property is is selling at 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 250K. And let's say he wanted to purchase that property with hard money. And also he said that the rent roll is $3,200 a month, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be a deal? If someone wants to take that deal to you, will that be a deal that your company could finance for that individual? One. Second question is, what amount of money would they need to bring to the table?
Yes. So that would be a deal that we would be definitely consider, especially if that's exactly what the rent is showing in that area. We basically we go off of the credit for a long-term loan. So if you're looking to not rehab it at all, it's definitely rent ready. We would go up to 80% of the loan to value of whatever the purchase amount is. And then the rate would be determined on what your credit is. Our minimum credit on a long-term loan right now is 680. There can be exceptions for slightly under that, but for the most part, our minimum it's currently set at 680. But yeah, we can definitely do that and get you in, depending on whatever program you want, as far as the ARM loans that we discussed. And yeah, that's exactly up to 80% is what we can do. I think that's pretty standard. I think what's probably out in the market right now, unless you're trying to do any rehab. If you're trying to do rehab, then again, that's a different loan, which I could describe, but I wasn't sure if you want me to get into that.
No, we're talking buy and hold today.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So the 680, you're not looking at tax returns or anything like. Are you looking at tax returns on this particular deal? 680 credit score, and what was the amount that you said that you needed to be brought to the table?
Oh, so they would have to bring 20%. Because we would finance 80% of it. And as long as basically our minimum loan amount is 75,000. So as long as it's basically going to be above that, we basically have no problem playing ball with that. As long as the values come in, we don't ask for any asset documents. The only documents we'll ask for would just be whatever entity you're trying to close with. So we will just ask for those entity documents. And as long as the appraisal just comes back, that's the main thing we really need, is just the value to hit. And then we'd have no problem moving forward.
All right, let's see if we can get Rodney back in here. Rodney, you there? Can you hear us? Rodney, can you hear us now? Rodney, can you hear us now? All right, so Rick, we still having a problem with Rodney. We have another question. A person online has a question about income and as it relates to retirement. I'm going to bring Sylvia in. Sylvia, I'm going to bring you in so you can go ahead and ask your question. 1 second. Here we go. Sylvia, there?
Hi. Yes, I am.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi. How are you?
Doing good.
Sylvia, you mentioned to me earlier that you're in New Orleans, huh?
That's correct. I'm in Louisiana, currently in New Orleans, and I'm looking for property here in Baton Rouge. So that's my interest as far as rental.
So Sylvia,
And
before you ask your question, I'm just curious. Let's take a look at New Orleans. Let's see how it looks. It looks really nice there.
let me see if I can you see it? Yeah. Wait.
Oh, you on the French Quarter?
Yeah, huh? What?
You on French
No, I'm
Quarter?
not. No, I'm about 4 blocks away from the French Quarters. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
So
at
you're
the
looking at.
Drury Inn.
All
You're
right.
looking at downtown New Orleans.
Wow,
Yeah, you're looking at
that's
downtown New
awesome.
Orleans. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what is the question you had?
The question is, how am I able to take this information? Well, no, integrate Florida with Louisiana as far as getting property here and going through Florida. Is that possible for my retirement? Is that possible?
So Rick, I guess it is that you lend just nationally, right?
Correct.
Nationally,
So
okay.
explain the process. Is there any different process from where a person is looking at properties?
No, as long as their entity is basically in good standing with the state that they're trying to buy property in, we have no problem moving forward with that. Again, we're licensed in majority of the states. I think the only ones we're not is just like the Dakotas and Nevada. Florida, Louisiana, we do properties there all the time. So we'd have no problem as long as she basically has the funds to close when we get there and her entity is in good standing with the state. I don't see any issue with that.
All right. So funds to close. Now, can the funds to close be it's an entity? You're saying you're closing in an entity. So how a person fund that entity is not relevant. Is it relevant for you?
So we wanted to close in an entity, but we do require a guarantor. So any member of that entity will be considered a guarantor on our loan. In her situation, it looks like I would assume she's the only member of her entity. So basically, we would just be closing in her entity, showing her as a member, and she would be a personal guarantor. If she had like a partner that she wanted to do it, we originally actually had it to where both partners had to have their credit score above 680, but I mainly just need one qualifying person to be a guarantor that has that credit above 680. And as long as the partner is above 600, we're able to move forward.
Okay, so I want to unpack that because this is super important. Once you get a deal, you got to fund the deal, and you got to fund the deal long term. So you establish an entity. You don't have to be the strongest person in that entity. You can actually have one person that has good credit, one person that has the money, and one person that has the deal. Is that correct, Rick?
Correct. You can organize that way. Correct.
So here's why that is so important, guys, because a lot of time people are not able to take down a multifamily property, a larger multifamily property, because they are lacking one of the three things that are needed. Either they can't find a deal, or they don't have the money, or they don't have the credit. But you can have people in your organization, Rick. You're telling me that you can have people in your organization that fills one of those gaps, and they can take down larger deals as long as that deal is a good deal. It rent rolls. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, as long as it fits. And then again, we do have a minimum credit of above 600 for that extra partner if their credit was an issue. So I can't have it if they're like a 550 and trying to be in it. Then we will just ask that they try to close it with just that other person as a single member, and then maybe add them back on after the deal's done. But for the sake of underwriting on my end, they need at least one member that's at least above 680, and then the other member above 600.
Oh, okay. So let me make sure. We have three people. Okay, part of the company. Okay, that we want to close. 3 people want to take down the deal.
Yep.
Right. One person has to be 680. The other 2 can be 600 or above.
Correct. As we
Okay.
mainly, as long as we have one that qualifies, they'll still have to be guarantors on the loan, but we need them to at least have above that.
One person has to be guarantor, or all three.
All three would have to be guarantors, but we would still move forward with the other members on that entity if their credit was above the 600 mark.
Got it. Got it. All right. So let me bring Sylvia back in. Sylvia, I have a question for you. So did you hear us discuss about the what is necessary to take down one of the larger deals? Were you able to hear that? Sylvia, were you able to hear? Sylvia, unmute your mic. So I think that Sylvia is having a problems with her connection also, Rick. So I wanted to ask her that the question about, you know, how much money a person needs for funding their dream retirement. And then we can back into how many properties that they need to acquire. So, and just wanted to make sure that, and I just got a message in that Sylvia said she couldn't hear us. So I just wanted to make sure that the if that the property that we mentioned is basically cash flowing $1,500 a month, and if they need, they can go up to as many properties as they need with your company, as long as the deal makes sense. Is that correct? Correct. Okay, so if someone needs 10,000 a month for retirement, I don't. That's balling. Yeah. that's taking a trip everywhere. If someone needs 10,000 a month, you know, you can get 6 or 7 of those properties, and you got basically you're good to go. And you guys wouldn't have a problem with it as long as the property makes sense. Is that fair? Correct. It's mainly down what the appraisal shows that the value is hitting that, and it's showing that the monthly rent can support the payments. And I would assume that they would at least be collecting rent a little bit above what the payment is, so they can at least collect a profit and make it worth it. But yes, generally, yeah. If you've got a guy that's got 7 properties he wants to buy, I do have to do them individually, but I can do them as long as the deal makes sense on the appraised values. So, portfolio loans or something like that. I know that's a little bit of an advanced type of term. You guys don't do that. They would have to use traditional funding. Correct. We have to do individual. I only do up to 4 units max. But anything like a group of loans like that, we don't do portfolio currently. Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring Rodney in. Rodney, you there? Okay, so Rodney is not there. We had Sydney, the videographer, going there. So let's see if we have any other questions. We have one that's been sent in. I think that we kind of answered that. One second. Question from a contributor. This is in respect to this is another kind of on hard money related thing. Explain more about the paperwork that are necessary, Rick. I guess there was a paperwork. Oh, so we would mainly just require the entity documents for your entity, which would basically be the operating agreement, the articles of organization, certificate of good standing. Other items that we would probably ask for would be, other than the application, would also be, I think, the homeowner's insurance. If you just give us a contact for the rep, we can kind of set that up with them once we get the appraisal back, and then just a purchase contract. And then if you're purchasing a property, we will ask for a screenshot of the bank account to make sure you have the funds in the last 30 days. So I would recommend that if you're getting that source from like another person or another party, make sure that's in there within 30 days of closing. Otherwise, we'll be asked to source it. But again, I just need a screenshot of the bank account showing you have the funds in there to close. And that's generally it. The main issue I usually have with the long-term loans is just making sure the appraisal hits for the most part. All right, so I have another one that basically says, let me read it. Okay, so how can you, we mentioned, and let me paraphrase, we mentioned rent rolling. Is the income from rental property, is the income from the tenants able to qualify for renting the property? So can you use the income from the tenants to help you qualify?
Well, we're going to basically go off of what the rent is. So if you're buying a property that's already leased, we actually prefer it that way. So that way you could send me a copy of the lease, and I can tell you up front if that's going to be enough to cover what the payment's going to be. And then I can also tell you if that debt service coverage ratio is going to basically be above what we're allowing, which is now down to 1. It used to be 1.25.
Got it. Okay.
So
Okay.
we're
What
down
does
to that.
that mean? I know what it means, but what does that mean?
It basically means that you're basically collecting enough rent to cover the actual mortgage payment. So anything above that, it increases that percentage of what profit you're going to collect from it. So we used to, when Corona was at its peak, we went back up to 1.25, or we wouldn't do it. But now we've dropped that since the market's kind of steadying down. So I mean, you want to definitely try to get enough rent to be more than what the payment is. That is probably the goal. But technically speaking, if you have enough to cover the payment, then we'll still move forward on that, which is a one on the DSCR.
Perfect. So what that means is for our scenario here, we said that the mortgage on the property was roughly $820 a month. And then what other numbers would you add into that to the debt service? Would you add this in this particular case, the owner pays water and utilities for the tenants? Would you add that in, or would you just go off of the 820 number?
So we're gonna go off of whatever the rent they're doing, as well as whatever the annual taxes and the annual homeowners insurance of what's being paid a year, and we basically kind of group that together to figure out what the payment's going to be based off the appraised value as well. And basically, as long as it covers that, it should be fine. But as far as I can't include any additional expenses on top of what they're getting on the lease. I would assume they would just probably increase the rent to cover those expenses. But otherwise, we technically can't count it if he's like paying an additional like 100 or 200 outside of what a lease is, unless the appraisal comes back with a rent schedule that shows like the monthly rent in that area being higher. Then I'll probably just try to go with that rent schedule.
All right. So this is my question. This is what's sent in. Let's say the property has tenants. The owner wants to purchase the property and do repairs. Okay, so I'm going to bring Rodney in, and we're going to use this real life example. Rodney, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Finally.
Perfect. All right, so Rodney, we have a question for you. Now, I know that property has no, does that property need any repairs, cosmetic or other? And Rick, I want to, if the property needs repair, I want you to speak to how the owner or the purchaser of the property would work that into the loan, or even if it could be worked into the loan. So Rodney, you up, go.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
David, sorry.
So the question is repair.
Someone was passing by.
No worries.
Trying to come in.
No worries. The question is repair. Does that property need any repair, cosmetic or structural?
So cosmetic, yes, it can use some uplifting, some painting. The roof has been changed already, so no need to worry about that. It's no central air and heat, so that's good for electricity. It's just window units, so that's one less expense, especially buying a new AC. So you don't have to worry about that. But as far as repairs, it's just cosmetic. There's nothing wrong with this place, as I can see.
Okay,
Uh,
so
um,
give me an estimate, Rodney, if cosmetic.
for painting, for for cosmetic, I'm gonna say maybe 3,000, 3 to 4,000. Being generous, like I say, like from what I see walking around the place, it doesn't need much. Just some paint, maybe some new doors, but that's about it. Like I said, this place has been rented already. So you walking into a place that is awesome, and we got some people looking in it.
All right, so I'm going to mute you. Rick, you have a property that is, let's say he said 3,000. Let's give them a little bit more of a budget. Let's say we have 5,000 to 10,000. Let's say 10,000. He want to work into the loan. Is that possible?
So in a long-term loan, I can't do that. I have to do a short-term loan first if they're going to do any rehab. But I would kind of gauge that on what you actually think you're going to get out of it by what repairs you're doing. So if you actually think based off what I saw on the property, if you really want to do like a facelift, as far as like maybe doing the paint, the doors, and I even kind of saw the appliances there. They would look a little outdated. So maybe if they want to update the kitchen, that might allow you to also get a higher rent. Maybe perhaps. So when you want to renovate, so you want to consider that. Then I would probably say, let's just say he wants to spend probably more 10 to 15,000, then or even more, just to kind of go all out and maybe upgrade everything. Then it might be actually worth it to do a short-term loan and actually get the rehab done, because then you can up the rent and increase it and make yourself even more money on that. Otherwise, if you only need like $5,000 or less, I honestly probably just see if it's possible maybe you do out of pocket, as opposed to just actually getting a short term for that, because there's going to be closing costs with doing a short term loan for rehab that kind of doesn't make $5,000 really worth it. But if you're going to do something more than that, that's definitely going to increase your rent, then yeah, I would absolutely do a short term loan. But technically speaking, my long term loan does not allow rehab being done, where I can't basically group that into the loan as that. Now, if they own the property after they purchase it, if they want to, after like a year, if they want to do like a cash out, we can certainly look into that if the value's definitely gone up, and then they can get those funds out. Or if they currently own a property that they're renting right now and they want to get cash out to renovate it, we can definitely do that as well. But as far as just a straight purchase, without it being a short-term loan, I wouldn't be able to add rehab on it.
All right, let me bring back Rodney back in. Okay, Rodney, our man in the field.
So you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Hello? Okay, all right, good. So that is an example of how hot this market is. Like, we just got interrupted by another realtor checking out this place.
And that is the problem with a live broadcast, Rick, is that we have a situation where his signal is weak and he's dropping in and out. But basically, I'm assuming that he was saying that the area is hot, which leads me to a question: turnaround time. Let's say that we have the investor that has found that property that Rodney is speaking to. He has the entity already formed. What's the turnaround time? Rick, unmute yourself for me, please.
Sorry about that. So normally I'd say around 2 to 2.5 weeks tops, based on the appraisal. That's kind of the holdback usually, is just waiting on the appraisal. As of recently, the whole nation's basically refinancing, it seems, and all my appraisers are backed up. So my turnaround times have literally been from like 1.5 weeks to like 3 weeks to get an appraisal back in most areas. But I can usually find out up front when we order day one. So usually I would say 2 weeks standard, but recently it's been more closer to like 3 to 4 weeks, only because of the turnaround time. Should that turnaround time be sooner, I can close sooner. I only need about 2 days to get my file into underwriting.
Wow.
Once the appraisal is back, and to get final conditions. And then I can usually clear final conditions like that same day once I get them back, and then try to close the next day once we clear it.
That's wow. That's crazy fast. That's good.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming that you wire the money. Is that how the money is distributed?
Yeah, once the money is done, it wires the title company, and then they release it upon everyone signing.
Okay, so basically, once it hits your desk, it's kind of a traditional type of close. Then you wire the buyer wires their part to the title, you wire your part, and then the title company sets up the close.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see. We have any questions? We have one. Okay. So we're good. Actually, we had a really good discussion about investment as it relates to retirement. We covered actually, Rick, we covered a lot of things that I wasn't aware of as the services that you offer. And then, of course, Gilbert discussed some of the traditional stuff. So funding that deal, traditional and non-traditional means are huge. And then Rodney continued to bring us great examples of properties in St. Pete and the Tampa Bay area where you actually are rent rolling and you're hitting that magic number of the debt service ratio being 1, which it should be more. But Rick, by having your company having that ratio down is awesome. You said it went down from 1.5 to 1, was it?
Well, from 1.25 to 1.
2.5 to 1. So that's super awesome. That qualifies a lot more property. And
Yes.
then one thing that we didn't mention, Rodney did mention it before, but I want to emphasize that is a buy and hold property. Not only are you getting it not only made the property rent roll, meaning that you're getting positive cash flow from the property on a monthly basis, but you have the equity play. You're establishing equity month by month, year by year, which the tenant is paying for. So it's really, really a great opportunity to own property and fund your retirement. It's a great opportunity to do that. We hope that we answered all of your questions today, or at least some of the questions. If you have questions about this show or any other shows, please feel free to like and comment on our various social media. Facebook, we have cornerclasstampa.com, and then also we have the show coming to YouTube and our streaming station BTV 360. So again, thank you guys. Next Corner Class Tampa CCT 11, we're going to look at the traditional way that most people are funding their retirement. We're looking at 401k. We're looking at investment. We're going to dig deeper. We will see you there. Thank you again.